All right, let's get right into it. What we're breaking down today is the official strategic briefing for a plan that is, well, it's breathtaking in its ambition. It's called the Black Folks Plan for Nigeria. And just to be clear, this isn't speculation. This is the authoritative, straight from the source look at a massive 75-year plan that could totally reshape a nation and really redefine what international partnership even means.
So right off the bat, you need to understand this. It's a 75-year plan. It's all about the future. But, and this is the key, its entire reason for being is about the past. The whole thing is built on the idea that 70 years ago, a massive foreign policy mistake was made, a wrong turn. And this plan, this is the roadmap to finally, after all this time, correct that course.
And speaking of corrections, this whole explainer is, in a way, a correction. You might have heard some numbers thrown around about this plan. Well, the chairman of the lead organization, Friends of the African Union, Hershel Daniels Junior, wanted to set the record straight. As you can see, he said there were some mistakes in what was discussed before. The real number isn't just big. It's $58 billion a year, every single year. So yeah, we're starting this off with the official hard facts right from the top.
Okay, Section 1, a vision to correct history. So to really get what this is all about, we've got to go back in time. We need to look at the exact moment in history that sparked this entire thing. You know, why is this correction so important, and why now?
So, picture this. Right after World War II, you've got FDR talking about ending colonial empires. A new world, right? But then, fast forward to 1955, there's this huge meeting, the Bandung Conference, with all these newly independent countries from Africa and Asia. And what does the U.S. do? It sides with the old European colonial powers. The people behind this plan call that moment the original sin of modern foreign policy. They see it as the single decision that kicked off a 70-year domino effect of problems. And now they're pointing to 2025 as the moment to finally pivot and break that chain. And you know, this isn't just some dry foreign policy debate for them. It goes way deeper. It's about morality. They bring in this powerful quote from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., where he said he felt like the house is burning because America had lost its moral compass. So this plan isn't just seen as a strategic move. It's framed as a moral imperative, a way to start putting out that fire. It's really about reparatory justice on a massive scale.
All right, Section 2. Let's talk about the who. Because a plan this massive obviously can't be pulled off by just one group. It's all about this really unique and powerful alliance. So let's look at who's actually at the table making this happen.
Now, this right here, this is the core philosophy. People-driven and private sector enabled. These words are absolutely critical to understanding the whole thing. This is not, I repeat, not a government handout from the top down. The whole idea is to create a partnership that helps Nigeria execute its own development plan, but, supercharged with the speed and expertise of the private sector. And this table really lays out how it all fits together. You've got Friends of the African Union kind of running point as the lead organizer. Then, look at this. The governments of Nigeria and the U.S. aren't listed as donor and recipient. They're sovereign partners, and importantly, beneficiaries. They both get something out of this. And then you have the muscle, the private sector engines, like the Buckeye Black Chamber and the National Alliance for Black Business, who are actually driving the investment and making things happen on the ground.
Okay, Section 3. The $58 billion financial engine. This is where everyone asks the big question, right? How in the world do you fund something like this? The finances might sound complicated, but the idea behind it is actually pretty brilliant. Let's walk through it. So, the magic ingredient here is something called a Revenue Anticipation Note, or a RAN. Yeah, I know, it sounds like some complex Wall Street term, but forget the jargon. Think of it like this. Imagine you were guaranteed to get a paycheck, a really big paycheck, every single year for the next 75 years. No question, it's coming. A RAN is basically a financial tool that lets you borrow against that future money. It lets you take out a loan today based on the money you know you're getting tomorrow. It's like unlocking 75 years of paychecks all at once. So how do they build this thing? It's a 3-step process. Step 1, you need a spark. Nigeria commits 20% of its annual budget. That's about $7.5 billion. That's their skin in the game. Step 2, you take that promise, that pledge to financial partners, and you get it insured. It's like getting insurance on that future paycheck. It makes it super safe for investors. And then step 3, this is where the magic happens. You take that insured pledge and use it as leverage to create this massive, Mind-blowing $58 billion financial instrument. And you do that every single year. So who gets a piece of this $58 billion pie? This is so important. Look at the breakdown. The Nigerian government gets 10%. That's $5.8 billion. The U.S. government also gets 10%, another $5.8 billion. The rest, the big 80%, goes to the partners who are actually doing the work. The key takeaway here is that both governments have skin in the game and they get a direct financial return. This isn't aid. This isn't a handout. It's a business deal where everyone benefits.
Okay, Section 4. So we've got the big idea, we've got the players, and we've got the money. Now for the really exciting part. What does all this actually do? What does it build? Let's get into the real-world impact both in Nigeria and right here in the U.S. First thing to know is they're not reinventing the wheel here. The blueprint for all the digital and healthcare stuff is based on a system that's already been tested and proven for decades, the U.S. Veterans Health Systems tech platform, VISTA. This thing is a workhorse. It's a solid, reliable system that already handles healthcare for millions of people. But here's the cool part. They're not just copying VISTA. They're taking that solid foundation and completely supercharging it for Nigeria. We are talking about a total technological leapfrog for the entire country. This goes way beyond just digital health records. Think nationwide infrastructure with real-time AI, biometric recognition, secure e-commerce platforms, even patented tech for delivering vaccines. I mean, this is truly next-generation stuff. And remember that two-way partnership we talked about? Here's what it looks like in reality. For Nigeria, it's massive. New digital infrastructure, housing for more than 1 million people, huge economic growth. But for the U.S., it's also a huge deal. That money flows back as foreign direct investment into American communities. It funds things like housing for our veterans, STEM education programs, and creates real economic mobility for the diaspora. It is absolutely designed to be a two-way street. Section 5, the terms of partnership. Look, a deal this big with this much money and this much at stake, it can't happen on a handshake. It needs a rock-solid, ironclad agreement. And the plan lays out 5 very clear, non-negotiable conditions that Nigeria has to meet.
And these 5 points, they're the absolute bedrock of the whole deal. Number 1, that 20% budget pledge, it has to be locked in, solidified for all 75 years. Number 2, transparency. All the money has to flow through a special, monitored account at Nigeria's central bank. Number 3, it has to be local. Nigerian mayors and local governments have to be directly involved so the benefits reach the people. Number 4, a legal framework. Nigeria's government has to pass a National Corporate Social Responsibility Act. And number 5, this one is about security. Americans on the ground implementing the plan must be granted the right to self-defense. It's a recognition of the real-world risks, and their safety is non-negotiable.
So it all comes down to this. You've got this unbelievable, multi-trillion-dollar vision for the future, but it all hinges on Nigeria saying yes to these 5 conditions. The ball is entirely in their court.
All right, let's pull back for the big picture here. Because if this deal actually happens, if it gets signed and it works, the vision is so much bigger than just Nigeria.
The whole strategy is to use Nigeria as the test case, right? It's a huge, complex, dynamic country. If you can prove the model works there, then you don't just have a success story. You have a blueprint, a tested, scalable model that you could then take and adapt for the entire African continent, all 1.4 billion people. The potential is just staggering. And that really brings us to the final massive question, doesn't it? When you look at all this, is it just an impossible dream? I mean, is it just too audacious